find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Jim Henson, Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Ozzy, Big Bird. So much talent coming out of one human being, Jim Henson, who died tragically. Some of us may have been around to remember how shocking that was, because he died from what seemed like an ordinary thing. Yeah, you get sick and you take medicine and you get better and onward you go with life. Not a big deal. That didn't happen. And so there is a Jim Henson Idea Man, is what it's called, coming out on Disney Plus. And I am really stoked to see this documentary about Jim Henson, who just seemed to be, like the title, an ideas man. And so I wanted to look at his Bazi Chinese astrology to see what the story of this individual is about. So welcome. My name is Lydia. This is the Feng Shui and Bazi Chinese Astrology channel, where we often like to read the charts of famous people because it helps us to understand our own charts and our own lives. So if this is something that speaks to you, please subscribe, like, follow, all the happy things. I also now have a donation page on PayPal so that you can support me here on the channel. I very much appreciate that. And I'll also put links for you to look at your own chart with me. Let's get your chart done. If you've never had your Bazi Chinese astrology done, it is so cool and so very different from Western astrology. So Jim Henson is born September 24th, 1936 at 10:40 in the morning. And he died May 16th, 1990 of strep, pneumonia that went into sepsis. And I have a feeling that this was a guy that was like, I'm not going to the doctor, I'm fine, just push on through. I've got so much work and I just am going to push through until, and this is what happens. And this is, every one of these charts that I read, I know that a lot of you glean wisdom from these readings, because there is, the medicine of another is just as much a medicine for ourselves and each other. Like when I did Madonna's, when she was in the hospital, she nearly died. Madonna nearly died. I don't think people realize that. And one of the things that I talked about, this was last summer, was how we can push ourselves to breaking. The human body is not designed to go hard and strong all day. Wake up at 5, hit the gym, in the conference room by 8:30 in the morning, power meeting at lunch, and then, cocktails after work, and then go, meet friends for a get-together, get home. It's 10 o'clock, crash, wake up. I mean, it is like, oh yeah, I forgot I had kids. Oh, should I have walked the dog today? It's like, my God. So life teaches us these rhythms. Now, this beautiful man was born in the year of a Yang fire rat, the month of Yang fire rooster, Yin fire rooster, the day of Yin earth rooster, and the hour of Yin earth snake. Now, right off the bat, we can tell that this is a chart that feels very hot, dry, and cold, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It kind of does, though. The feeling of this is very dry. It's almost, like, I was saying that I knew someone who did Bazi Astrology landscapes, because every one of our charts, when you look at the 5 elements, is a landscape. And what I would see, this feels like desert to me. This is desert with mountains, desert with rocks underground, crystals, you know, like out in the desert Southwest where we find all these gorgeous crystals. So it's interesting, he's got these 2 roosters, right? And the rooster and the rat really are an interesting combination. It's, again, it feels very cool, parts of his chart. The fact that there is that yin water and then 2 more pillars with yin metal feels very soft. This is a chart that's super yin, very nurturing, maternal, effeminate. You know, when you think of Jim Henson, I think he was like 6 feet tall. He was a tall, lanky, skinny kind of guy. He's not like big, muscly dude. But that's not necessarily has to be the case, you know. I mean, Bruce Willis, and was anyway a muscular looking dude who's super yin chart. And some men have really yin charts, and it lends itself to somebody that tends to be just a lot softer, just not assertive. This is a guy that was happy, he was honest, he was kind and gentle, very quick, and sensitive, a humanitarian. He wanted to help people and inspire people. And he's the kind of person that uses his artistic talent to benefit the world and also to express himself. This is a metal pattern. And when we look at the 5 elements, there's 28% fire, nice support for his earthy self, which is balanced at 23%. He's got a lot of metal. And that's the pattern of this chart. It's at least 34%. Slightly weak water, 14%, no wood. No wood at all. And the for this chart, I don't know that wood is really helpful. Sometimes the chart just simply can't be balanced out. So one of the things that I was noticing with this is someone who just couldn't stay still. And I would venture to guess that he could be abrasive. He could be kind of a bit of a daredevil, very competitive, but also really like a survivor. Somebody that really has such a flair for life, for talent, for so many things, and so active. Does not want to sit still. Wants to go on to the next grand adventure. And chases after what he wants. If he's got his sights on something, he's going for it. He is the dreamer. He is the one that's like lying in the hammock with his head in the clouds, dreaming up that next great puppet. And somebody who is like a lover, a friend, yeah. And is probably destined to be successful. Needs life to be copacetic, needs calm, needs harmony all around him. Which is interesting given the fact that he's going. And you know, the rooster, Beyonce, I believe, is born on the day of the rooster. Cock-a-doodle-doo, gotta be seen, gotta be heard, gotta sing, gotta make my words be heard. That's a very strong part of his chart. The rat is all about his audience. That's his stage. He wants to be with people. He wants to entertain. And and then we look at the hour, yin earth snake. It's fascinating. This is very much him, front and center. I think that they're probably, there's the Tao of Pooh. There's probably a Tao of Jim Henson. Like, what is like when you really take the psychology of these Muppets? It's not easy being green. You tend to blend in with all the ordinary things. He wrote some really amazing songs. And I remember that song, It's Not Easy Being Green, because it made me think that some people didn't like the way they were. And then figured out, however they figured it out, that it was okay, just being themselves. And his little revelation at the end of that song is just that. It's not like a big thing. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm green. And that's what I am. And it's okay. Perfect. He's a frog. Anyway, but that is the point. He's a frog. So accept being green, right? Accept who you are. What a beautiful message for children and for all of us. And there is this, again, humanitarian aspect to what he offered. A very nurturing, maternal, there's a strong mother archetype in his work. It's very interesting. And also innovative, creative, smart, and doing things that are like no one ever did. And tucked into the snake, there is a component of himself where he gets to play those different roles and different characters. So when we break down the fact that this is someone who died of a lung illness, lungs, throat, this whole chest area, we're looking at the metal element being so strong in his chart, weakening. Because when you look at the pattern and you look at the strength of metal, that is a weakening force, because that's the offspring of earth, which is what he is. And so we're looking at the fact that there is metal challenges what supports him, fire, which is strong, and it's weakening the earth. So what was going on in his luck cycle? He died in 1990, just before a shift into a new luck cycle. And I've often said that I find it interesting how people often will go through very big dramatic change in their lives right around the time of a luck cycle change. And often people request chart readings with me right around the time of a luck cycle change that they don't even know about. But you feel it inside of yourself. You feel something is shifting. Something is about to change. My life, something is really different now. And I want to better understand what this is. He comes into, in 1981, a yang water tiger. And this really highlighted his marriage. And this was when I believe he got divorced. And this is all about wealth and property and success. This was a very great, potentially great time for him. Very focused on work, home, family, all of his responsibilities being highlighted. This is yang wood, the missing element showing up in his chart. There's mention in here of, again, playing different roles. this, again, charitable aspect, maternal, mother aspect tucked inside, makes me wonder what his relationship with his mother was about. I've mentioned like Bobby Kennedy Jr. has his father all over his chart. And I find it interesting, like sometimes I'll do a chart and somebody will say, but my mom died when I was little. And it's like, well, she's been with you all through the journey of your life. Look where she shows up. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in the physical plane that our relationships with loved ones can continue on, right? That's really a cool thing. So that was the time that he's in. And so we look at the day that he died. And the day he died, get this, all the branches are metal. Yang metal, horse year, yin metal, snake day, month, yin metal, snake day. All that fire, it's like metal and fire. Metal over fire. Fascinating, because this is the battle in his chart playing out in steroids. And this feels like, the other thing is there's something in his chart that shows two things, very unique, because he's got the rooster month and the rooster day in his Bazi chart. There is this quality of fragility with him. Almost like when you're holding an infant baby and they're so fragile. Their life force feels fragile. What can go wrong? Everything can go wrong. So this is someone who very much was like a new soul, who had this childlike wonder, curious about, quick learner, wanted to learn new things, like that child of wonder, right? If you've ever spent time with a 3-year-old outside, that's like, whoa, wow, May we all be that. May we all walk outside with the eyes of a child and the heart of wonder. And I think that he brought that to his craft, that childlike wonder and the connection to that inner child within himself. It's a very interesting thing to note. So when we take in the analysis of this, in his Bazi, there is innately a semi-metal trio with the snake and his 2 roosters. On the day of his death, the snakes, there's 2 snakes, both the day and the month that he died, plus his hour, all with the horse year making so much fire in his chart. And then the yin, the tiger of his current luck cycle at the time with the horse year of 1990, made more fire. And then you have his rat banging up against that horse in a battle of fire and water. But water can't sustain. Water's too weak. And because of that, fire wins. So it's like this reinforcement of fire and metal. So you take those 2 components physically, internally in the body, and this feels like hot lungs. This is infection in the blood, which is fire, especially yin fire, which we get with the horse year. And it is that heat, I could feel it as I was putting this chart together. I could feel the heat in his lungs, in his throat. This whole thing just so inflamed. His luck cycle challenges the pattern of metal. And so it's like all of that metal and all the fire. And it's so interesting how you've got fire and metal with his earth self in the middle. And it just feels like a collapse of the self. Like, I don't honestly know that I have seen this quite so brutally played out in a chart like this. It's like there is in equal measure too much coming in and too much going out. And it kind of feels like, this just came to mind, it's like if you're trying to get out a crowded doorway and you're trying to move and there are people behind you pushing, that's the fire element, overwhelming you, right? And you're trying to get everybody in front of you to move. It's just like collapsed. It literally just feels like a sandwich that has collapsed into the earth self, cannot sustain. It's overwhelmed. And it really is hot metal, hot lungs, blood. So my friends, that is the read on Jim Henson. The Labyrinth, one of my favorite movies of all time. Fraggle Rock, Muppets, Sesame Street. All of those amazing characters that he made. What a legacy he left behind for all of us to enjoy. And I hope that you get a chance to watch the documentary Jim Henson on Disney Plus this month. I'm looking forward to that myself. And until next time, friends, be well.